Good morning. I've decided to do a quick video on how I edit my FPV videos. I did a flight this morning. There was some snow on the trees, and I thought it would be nice to do a flight. I did it to a song, Snow in Los Angeles by Dead Sarah. So here's how I edit my videos. First of all, I have Power Director up. Very first thing I'll do is copy my media into Power Director. So you see here I have these two files on the left are GoPro Hero 8 files. Those are for the takeoffs and landings. And then I have two files that were rendered from Insta360 Go Studio from the Insta360 Go. Since I mount my Go on the side, they come out rendered on the side, so I have to rotate them. So I rotated them using a different piece of software, and here are the two rotated files. And there's my audio track. So I'll just do the second flight. The first flight was interrupted by a dog walker. So I just want the files for the second flight. So, whoop, and my first mistake. Took that as a click instead of a drag. There we go. We'll do one at a time. So there you go. I've got the three in Power Director. Now I'm going to throw them into my timeline. I'll throw my flight video. I'll throw my ground video, and I'll throw my audio track. And the reason I do them in this order is because I want the ground video to overlay the flight video. Just makes it easier for my editing later. So the next thing I do is I select all three of these tracks and say sync by audio. So at the very beginning of my my process, I turn on my cameras and then I say a few things a couple times over to give the cameras a chance to sync based on that audio. And then I start the music track on my phone, and so both cameras are also hearing that, and that allows all three of these tracks to sync automatically. So click sync by audio. Easy peasy. They're synced up. Now we'll go and we'll find where I want to start my video.
Synchronizing cameras, 3, 2, 1, go. Synchronizing cameras, 3, 2, 1, go.
Pause the video right there. I'm going to split the three tracks and get rid of this extra stuff. Nobody needs to hear me synchronizing the cameras. And fill gap, move all clips. So that'll move everything to the left. There we go. So now we're starting at the point that I press play on the song. And now I'm going to play the video until the propeller starts spinning. First thing I'm going to do is lock my audio track though, because I'm not going to be messing with that track anymore. Unfortunately, this song takes a bit to get going. Okay, so my propellers have started spinning. So now I back up a frame at a time until I no longer see the propellers spinning anymore. And keep going, clickety click. There we go. And now I'm going to split the top two tracks. Now the bottom track doesn't split because I have it locked. Now I'm going to go to the point where I want to stop my slow motion. So this is, I've split here where I'm going to start my slow motion. Oh, a little bit of a nasty takeoff there. So I think I'll stop my slow motion about there because at that point, this tiny quad and with the GoPro's wide angle, it's getting harder to see the quad anyway. So no point doing it much further than that. So now I do slow motion on the ground video track and I record that at 120 frames a second. The Insta360 Go records at 25 frames a second. So I'm going to lock my other tracks because if I don't do that, then they'll move when I make this slow motion, which is good for some videos, but not good for the style I'm doing right now. So I guess I should have mentioned what I did there. I went into tool. Here, let me do it again. So I drag the track down, track's highlighted, click on Tools, Power Tools, Video Speed, Speed Adjustment. Now I wish they'd let you actually type in a speed multiplier because I know exactly what I want, but instead I have to drag over with the mouse and I want 0.21. If this was a 30 frame a second camera, I'd do 0.25, but because it's a 25, 0.21 is about as close as I can get to having them match up properly with the 120. So there we go. Now I'm going to just zoom in on the track a little bit because it makes this next part a little easier. And I'm going to drag this one track back. So you see my audio track is still in line with my ground camera track, is still in line with my flight track. But the slow motion I'm going to drag backwards so it just overlaps this spot on my ground track. I'm going to unlock those, get rid of the first part of my FPV track because I don't use that. Leave gap so it doesn't move. Now I'm going to put in some transitions. Fade in, which I always do, and then fade in and fade out on my new slow motion track. And I usually change the fade in. It'll depend on the video, but for this one, I'm just going to say, let's say 7 seconds. Whoop, not 59. 7 seconds. So you see how that, no, that looks like it's too much. Let's make it 6. And that's going to fade at first with this track, and then if it did overlay, it would fade with this one, but it's only going to fade with this track above. And what that gives you is when I move my phone, it kind of shows you that I'm putting the phone down. Kind of gives some continuity to it. Okay, so I'm done for this part. Now flight, 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 and at the end, I've got to catch the landing. Now it looks like right around here, it's kind of interesting. Oh, sorry, the next thing I do is I disable the audio on my FPV track because it sounds just awful. Actually, maybe I'll play just a touch of that so you can see what it sounds like coming out of the Go. You're not seeing the actual video because I still have this track in, but you can hear what it sounds like. It was pretty bad. So you can see if I come here, this is with it landing. So back up just a little bit until we get to the. So that's not too bad. I think I'll move back just a couple frames. I'll do a split. And I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to unlink audio and video. So I still have audio from the ground GoPro, but I'm going to get rid of this video, which is between my landing sequence and my takeoff sequence is now gone. So now you see the video is now from the Insta360 Go on the quad. Landing, and we'll do the last bit in slow motion. So we'll split again. Oh, that was horrible. That was horrible. What to do, what to do. You know what I'm going to do? Because I'm not going to make that slow motion just, it's going to complicate the video a little bit because the song is still going on. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to take these two away. Let's see what that's going to look like. This is a long song and my battery is grab the camera. Just kind of show around a little bit of the trees. Okay, so I do have an idea of what I'm going to do with that. So that's where I'm going to end it. I'll just clip that out. I'll do the fade for that later, but I am going to do some slow motion. But I'm going to recombine these two. Oh, made one extra click there. Right click, highlight them both, combine them again. And I think I will start my slow motion here. There's no point having slow motion when it's off the screen, so click that. And once again, I'll lock up my, oh, can't lock it and drag out of it, so to drag out of it first, lock it up, do my slow motion, tools, power tools, video speed, speed adjustment, and it'll be 0.21 again. All right, and I'm going to actually leave that just like this, but I'll fade back in. Let's see what that ends up looking like. Yeah, that works. I think that works. Let's try it one more time. Okay, so that's pretty much it except for one more thing. Unlock these. When I fade out sometimes, let's see if it happens. Sometimes when I fade out on the second track, it actually goes to black and then fades in. So let's see if it does it this time or if I can use it. There, that's fine. So there, I can use this entire video now. Let's just make sure that some of the FPV looks okay. And usually I watch the whole video over in the editor to make sure that there's nothing going on, but I don't see any reason to. That's good. Okay, sweet. So that looks good. So I've watched the, have I watched the beginning sequence? Let's see what the beginning sequence looks like just to make sure that looks good. Oh, that sounds like hell. I'm just going to decrease the volume a little bit on the takeoff clip.
Too soon again. Past is only something we remember.
Okay, good. So I'm ready to render. So I'll click on produce. And I don't want 4K 30. I want to match the FPV flight video because I've made everything kind of match a 25 frame per second when I slow down my slow motion, all that kind of stuff. So here we go. I have a profile I call GoPro 2K 25 frames a second. I find if I render it, like the FPV camera only does 1080p, but if I render it at that, YouTube really does a hatchet job on the quality. So I render it as 2K. Videos, and what do I call it? How to edit it. No, that's kind of how I edit FPV flight videos. Title's negotiable, and I want to put that on G, just because that's got more space. Oh, these are some that I probably haven't made public yet. Start it rendering, and that will take a while, so I'm going to stop this video at this point and say goodbye.